Nation, Guru Nation, Guru Nation, Guru Nation. Guru Nation, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Really means a lot to me. Look, there's like two different ways I could go with this, but what I think I'll just mix them into one video, because honestly, I didn't have anything ready for today. But this is like some of the most frequently asked questions I get, and it's from like they're related to the same thing, but they are from different stakeholders in the industry. So the first one is from job seekers. Like, hey Dan, I've applied and I can't get hired. And then I ask, well, how many research sites did you physically go into and talk to someone? And then they say, oh, none. Well, then you're getting the results everyone else is getting because you have no experience. You may have a really good background, but you're going to get the same results as everyone else if you do the same thing as everyone else. And what those results are in a bad job market like we have right now is nothing. So I interviewed today someone on my podcast. He's a doctor. He's a PI. He actually owns a bunch of research sites, Dr. Boghara. And you can watch that one in my channel. You could probably see it. It's already up by now. He started as a coordinator. He's an international medical graduate, immigrated to the United States from India, didn't even know the language, learned the language. Then he just randomly called up a site because he saw an ad on a TV station for a clinical trial, and he realized that was a local site in his area. So he called that site. He said, hey, this is odd, but I'm an international medical graduate, and I really think if I intern at your place, like, not only will you find value from me as a foreign physician, but I think I would love it because I would get some experience on my resume. And they called him in for an interview, he got hired on the spot. So that's not sitting back and clicking a button passively or sending like 100 spam emails to people. Like first of all, get your email account flagged for spam. And second of all, they can tell it's not customized. But calling, this guy didn't even go in. He called. If you go in, I'm telling you, if you take it a step further, and I've did an entire video on how you should do this. Sites care about several things. They don't necessarily care. They don't have experience. We just hired. She's too shy right now to join me as a guest, but eventually we'll get her. A brand new coordinator, Jessica. She's a very good phlebotomist. She might be the best phlebotomist in all of Yuma. Like, she's an instructor for phlebotomy, but she felt like her career hit a dead end and she was willing to try a new industry. That's exactly what I want. The kind of person that has potential and could already solve one immediate need. Like, on her first day of working with us, she drew a really tough person to draw, like a patient that all of our staff have a problem drawing. She got it like no problem. You think that's not like a value add from day one? So think of ways that you could be a value add from day one. Sites may need help with what I just said. Someone really good at drawing blood, or someone who's really well connected in the community, or someone who really understands how to use social media, set up a podcast, set up a YouTube channel, run Instagram accounts, run ads, or someone who maybe is an international medical graduate and is able to talk to the doctors, to the physicians, like a physician because they are one, or somebody who is really good at getting patients from the community, maybe well connected in the community as far as the providers are concerned, or someone really good with tools to get studies for the sites. Maybe they've learned how to use Inato. Maybe they've learned how to use Salesforce or HubSpot. Like, sites need practical things. They're willing to bring you on as an intern if they can see at least one immediate practical thing that they could utilize from you. Because if you just approach the site and say, hey, I can intern, and it would be really good for my resume, the site will say, okay, well, that sounds good for you, but it sounds like more work for me. And honestly, I get asked a lot from people from YouTube, Dan, can I just intern at your site just for a month? First of all, I can't support the entire YouTube community that's interested in research. We have a CRC Academy. Next week, we do have interns coming from the CRC Academy. They're visiting from San Francisco. They're coming all the way out to Yuma. Daniel, we're going to do a podcast with them next week. We'll find a day. But they're from the CRA Academy and from the CRC Academy. But there's sites in your area that can handle interns locally. You just got to let them know what you're good at, and you got to communicate that to them. And you can't do that from behind a computer screen clicking at applications. You can do that by calling them or going in person, handing in your resume, not leaving until you talk to someone who's in charge, and convincing them that you're worth their time. That's how you get in. That's how you get hired on the spot. Sites are very busy right now, despite CROs and some biotechs and pharma having mass layoffs. Sites are super busy. They need help, but you're not going to demonstrate that with no experience behind a computer screen sending your application. And there's no way to tweak your CV right now to change that. But you can go in person and convince them. This is why I think, whether you like to admit it or not, you are a salesperson. Influence, learning the art of persuasion and of influence is a super important skill set for life. I don't care what it's about. Now, that's the job seekers. Now, related to this are the site owners. So I just came back from ACRP. It's whatever. It's one of the other conferences that's not SOS. I can go a whole hour just on other conferences and why we started SOS. Back to the topic at hand. There was a couple site owners I interacted with there, but one in particular, I can't remember his name, but if you know who you are, message me. He owned a site in Texas, and he kept waiting for me to finish with my podcast. So I talked to him for a while. I talked to him 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, walked around the whole exhibit floor with him twice just to get his perspective on what's going on as a site owner right now. He told me, and he's not a client of DSCS, which, by the way, will help you guys get studies if you need help. So not only is this a plug for the CRC and CRA Academy, but the consulting services for sites will help you get studies, negotiate your contracts, your budgets, help you with SOPs, create your source documents, a shoulder to cry on. We teach you the IRB startup process, all the stuff that site owners need help with initially for a low monthly fee, month-to-month contract. We're not trying to lock you in. We just want sites to succeed. This guy was not a client, but I was trying to tell him to be a client, but he kept complaining, hey, clinicaltrials.gov, I'm finding studies on there, but I'm not getting any response back. And I walked around the room with him. I said, listen, how many emails are you sending a week? He said maybe 10. And I don't hear any response. And I said, okay, well, why not increase that by 10? Why not make it 100 a week? And he said, well, that's a lot. I said, yeah, that's a lot. Find 100 appropriate or semi-appropriate studies. You can always say no to them later. The purpose of this exercise is to get you used to build the good habit of reaching out to sponsors, reaching out to CROs, cross-referencing whatever sponsor you found on clinicaltrials.gov. Again, if they're a smaller sponsor, you're much more likely to find the appropriate person on LinkedIn. B2B is an easy game to play. Business to business is an easy game to play. If I know that I want to study with Acetylene Biotech, I'm just making up names right now. If I know I really want to study with Acetylene Biotech, and I go on clinicaltrials.gov and I don't find an email, let's say I find the generic info@acetylene.com. But if I look up that company on LinkedIn, I will find 10 people. One will be chief of clinical operations. Another one will be clinical trial manager. Another one will be project manager. Those are the decision makers. Like, the smaller the biotech, the easier it is. One of the one of the vendors, I'm not going to mention who, but I talked to this other vendor at ACRP, and she was telling me she landed a huge client, a huge drug company for her company. She's a tech company, and she's an expert biz dev person. And I said, "How did you land that contract? That's huge. It's really hard to get a hold of that company, but once you're in, you're in." She said, "I stalked the decision maker. Like, I literally found out who he was. I found out every single conference he's going to, and I just went to every single conference he was going to. And I loitered around where he was going to be, and he took meetings with me, and it took multiple meetings, and now we text on a regular basis, and they're a client." Like, business to business sales is actually not that complicated. Why do you think all these conferences exist? It's not to educate you more. The education just boilerplate regurgitated information. It's meeting people. It's networking. B2B is easy. B2C, meaning recruiting patients for your studies, that's hard because you don't know who those people are. You know the archetype of who a patient is, but it's not like B2B where, hey, I really want to work with someone from Acetylene Biopharma. I could go find like the 5 people that I know I need to get a hold of, and I won't stop till I do. So I walked around ACRP exhibit floor with this site owner, and I was telling him, if you send 100 emails a week, that means, like, let's say 400 in a month. And let's say only one gets back to you and says, yeah, well, you know what? Here's a CDA, here's a feasibility. And you do that, and 3 months later, you get a site selection visit, and then another month and a half later, you get a site initiation visit. You have like a $500,000 project. Is that not worth all those no's or those ignores? I mean, we're talking like $500,000. Like, why would you not do this? It's free. If you want to save some time and outsource it, well, we can do this for you too. We can pinpoint exactly who you should target. So you don't need to send 100 emails a week. You can send like 10. I use at Yuma Clinical Trials, I use our biz dev services. I only do like 2 or 3 emails a week. But once I find the study I really want, I go crazy on LinkedIn. I start cross-referencing. I start stalking who the key employees are on their Instagram. Like, if I really want a study, I won't stop until I find a study, or I'm specifically told no, not at this moment. If it's $500,000, it's worth it, no? So I feel like the site owners and the job seekers have a lot in common when they don't want to do the things that are unorthodox. Really go the extra mile, go the extra 10 miles. Everyone just wants to do, what's the best practices for landing a job or getting a study? Like, if you look in a textbook for best practices for landing a job or getting a study, it's not showing up to people's offices and not leaving until they tell you yes or no. And it's not stalking someone who's a decision maker at the drug company until they tell you yes or no. It's going to be some generic BS that doesn't work, right? So this is where I feel like the similarities are between the job seekers and the site owners. And think about it like this. Let's go one layer deeper. If you're a job seeker and you show the same behavior that a successful site owner, I don't care who they are or what they say, if you are a successful site owner, you have been relentless on certain occasions for getting certain studies. It's true, certain studies do fall into your lap, but every single successful site owner I know acts relentlessly occasionally. Or keep that in mind. That's myself too. I'm a site owner. Now, if you're a job seeker and you are relentless and you go to the site owner's offices and you won't leave until they talk to you, that strikes a chord with them, because they see themselves in you, and now you have an advantage over everyone else who just sat back and mass emailed and spammed their resumes. you're already setting yourself apart. So like this mentality, I think you got to be relentless in clinical research if you want a job or if you want more studies for your site. Bottom line, I think there's a lot of similarities job seekers have that are looking to get into site level positions. And by the way, if you're a CRA or someone else that got laid off and you do have experience, even better for you to go site to site and just be relentless about it. All right? Now, when they tell you no, it's no. But then go to another site and keep doing it. And then if you run out of sites in your area, let's say you're in a smaller city, do it remotely. But instead of just mass spamming, message on LinkedIn, phone call, figure out like how to get a hold of these people. Maybe go to conferences like the person I met with at ACRP that said, I found out I literally stalked this person from this big drug company. Every single conference they went to, I made sure I was there. Every panel they spoke on, I made sure I was there in the audience. It's a little creepy, but I got the job done. And now it's a multi-7-figure dollar study opportunity for them. So this is the video, short, sweet. Hopefully it's enough motivation for you guys and gals out there. And again, if you're a laid off CRA, this strategy works for you too, because you already have practical things for the site. And if you're just sitting around and you haven't been hired, I mean, take some time off if you need it. But when you're ready to get back into it and you're not getting interviews and you're not getting any progress in your career, doesn't hurt to intern at a site and do a really good job. Let's say you're a CRA that got laid off. Be a quality control, quality assurance intern at that site. Just offer it for free. If you guys like what I do, I mean, I'll put it on my resume for free, but if you like what I do, I don't mind getting X amount of dollars a month, whatever you guys think is fair. And maybe you start a new business out of it. From every downturn in the economy comes life-changing alterations in individuals' trajectories, whether it's for their career or their business. And at the end of the day, honestly, it's the same thing. Even if you don't have a business and you're just an employee, you are in the business of you, LLC. You're in your own business. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Talk to you later, Guru Nation. Bye-bye. Hey, if you guys like that kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Stay tuned for more videos.